What is going on YouTube? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this video. Hopefully you're having a really good time and a really good start to your holiday season. I mean, Black Friday is right around the corner. It is full on turkey mode and Christmas and all of that's good stuff. Everywhere you go, you see Christmas commercials, you see holiday commercials, you go into the stores, they got the music playing. It's that time of year, right? It's the holiday season. One of the best times of year for gaming, and honestly, the best time of year in general. I mean, honestly, who doesn't love the holiday season? And with the holiday season, we usually have cool games and cool news. So I'm going to be trying something out new, doing a news roundup. Probably only going to do this when there's a lot of news dropping at once, and so I figured I'd just test it out in this video and just kind of see how it works, right? Let's experiment for a little bit. So today we have some big news that came out in this last week. The Nintendo Switch is preparing to launch their next console, right? At least according to analysts, and honestly, according to Nintendo too, kind of, right? So Nintendo had their earnings call, their yearly earnings call, or maybe it's a quarterly earnings call. I'm not even sure. But they had an earnings call, and they got to answer some questions from the shareholders about Nintendo, where the direction is going, what's going on. And so, yeah, there was a lot said. First of all, they talked a lot about backwards compatibility and how they feel that backwards compatibility can sometimes be a little bit tough because of the fact that you have licensing issues and you have to buy the rights to a lot of these games, and then some of those companies don't even exist. And then they hinted a little bit at the future of the Nintendo Switch. So we're going to read this article from Screen Rant and talk a little bit about it. So some analysts believe that the Nintendo console will release in 2024. This is, of course, the new Nintendo console, and it will not be a simple Switch upgrade. The beloved game company's portable console launched back in 2017, making the Nintendo Switch increasingly outdated next to competitors like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S, respectively. While the Nintendo Switch OLED model launched in October 2021, many fans are eager to hear about the next company's unique piece of gaming hardware. So this is true. The Nintendo Switch is fairly old at this point. Now, I currently own the Nintendo Switch OLED. I got that, I want to say, earlier this year. And, yeah, I love it so far. It's a really good console. It's a good handheld. It really works. The screen is nice. But, you know, I think everybody's kind of ready for the next console at this point. Now, I will say this. I'm not sure where they go from here, right? Because the Nintendo Switch is kind of everything, right? Like, what could you improve on the Nintendo Switch? What would the next console even look like, right? Would they go back to a GameCube style console? I don't think so, because they have to have the handheld. But then what are they going to make? Like, just a more powerful handheld? They may as well just keep the same name. I don't know. That's why I'm not making these decisions. So anyway, let's just move on. Like most of the Nintendo consoles, except for the Wii U, the Switch innovates by combining aspects of home and portable consoles. The system itself is a tablet with a large central screen, allowing users to easily take them on the go. We already know how this works. And the analysts in the industry, Nintendo's next console is likely to release in 2024. Harding Rolls explains that Nintendo Switch Pro model is not expected to release at all. Instead, Nintendo's successor to the Switch will arrive in 2024, late 2024, which is a key there, and marking the gaming juggernaut's entry into the current generation of gaming consoles. While no specific predictions about the Nintendo project are made, it is likely that the hardware will be radically different from the Switch's portable lineup. So, setup. So I want to say this, right? I want to say this. And this last sentence is really key. While no specific predictions about the Nintendo project is made, it is likely that the hardware will be radically different from the Switch's portable setup. This is interesting to me and crazy to me because the Switch works. So if you guys don't remember how the Wii U went, it was a failure. Like, the Wii U was a pathetic attempt. And it was bad. Like, they went from the Wii, which was really good, to the Wii U, which was awful. And then they created the Switch, which basically, like, saved the company in a lot of ways. And so now the Switch has been so overwhelmingly popular. It's, like I said, where do you go from here, right? Like, you're already up so high. Where do you go from there? Now, I just mentioned that they could end up going back to a GameCube-style game, right? Look, I own this exact GameCube, right? Like the Indigo GameCube, I owned it. Sonic Adventure 2, Luigi's Mansion, played all those games on there. The GameCube was a legendary piece of hardware in gaming history. But would they go back to being a traditional console? Would they actually make the leap? This would be a huge step in a unique direction, because Nintendo, since the conception of the Wii, has always carved its own market out, right? Like, they've always been their own market. They had the DS, they had the Wii, and nobody else quite had anything like it. They tried. You guys remember the Xbox Kinect? You guys probably remember the PlayStation Move, I believe it was called, where you actually had, you could do like Wii Sports stuff on the PlayStation. I think it was the PlayStation 3, actually. I don't know. But yeah, many have tried and many have failed to copy Nintendo's unique brand of marketing and their style of consoles. So it would be interesting if Nintendo left that for a more traditional console like the GameCube. Now, I want to say this too. It's not that it won't work. It's that it's a risk. That's what I would say. It's a risk. I personally would want the GameCube back. The GameCube, like I said, legendary piece of gaming hardware, classic games on there. It's amazing. But it's a risk because you already have a PlayStation and you have an Xbox. So you would have to make this console either compete with them in the power aspect, like, hey, this game runs at X frames, like 60 frames, native 4K at 30 FPS, whatever, right? Or you don't compete with them in that aspect, but it still has to be obviously like a powerful enough console to make it worth being considered next gen. And so you'd have to make it unique in some type of aspect. And so my theory was maybe they would have the Nintendo Switch and the GameCube have a baby, right? Where both of these consoles exist, right? You can get the GameCube as the primary console and then get the Switch as an add-on, right? But we will see. That's my theory. Not sure if it's going to come true or not, but that's my theory. And yeah, so look. The analysts have an impressive track record of accurate predictions. It's also logical for Nintendo to begin planning its next console era, especially if it's substantially more powerful than the Switch. 2024 is still 2 years away, but the Nintendo Direct of 2022, which is coming February, could offer a glimpse into those plans. Now, if you guys didn't see the September Direct, there was a lot of games announced. We have a little bit more of a clear picture here. I will say the biggest game, obviously, is Breath of the Wild 2, a.k.a. Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is going to be an insane game. It probably is going to be Game of the Year for so many people. And so that is the type of game, though, that you would imagine is next gen, right? Like, you would say, hey, this game, we should launch it on new hardware. I don't think they're gonna. I wish they would, but I don't think they're gonna. But the reason I bring this game up in the first place is because it's really interesting, right? If you start Xing out the games that Nintendo has left on the Switch's lifespan, right? So we have Tears of the Kingdom here. We presumably have one more Mario game, and I mean one more Mario game like an Odyssey, like Super Mario Odyssey 2, which is a lot of people are predicting. But we have presumably one more Mario game. This last A Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game. We probably have a Donkey Kong game in there, and then maybe some other smaller titles. But like, if you start Xing out these games, then we can start saying, okay, so what would launch with this new console, right? Like, what is the bread trail, so to speak, right? And what I'm starting to think is that the next Mario Kart game is going to be withheld for 2024. They'll probably show some stuff, maybe a cinematic trailer, maybe a gameplay trailer, but they're going to announce it alongside the new Nintendo X, right? The GameCube 2, the Nintendo Switch Cube. I don't know. I'm just speculating names, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I feel like there's a way to kind of track this if you just go off of the games. And I honestly feel that if you go off of every single game Nintendo has announced and has, like, probably in the works, well, Tears of the Kingdom, that's done. One more Mario game, Odyssey, because Odyssey released, I don't remember, like 17 or something like that. I don't know. But it's been a while. They did Sparks of Hope, the Rabbids game. Probably going to get a new Donkey Kong game. So, yeah, like, we can start to assume a lineup, which, I understand it might not be a huge thing for some people, but if you look at what the Xbox and PlayStation did, those games didn't have much of a launch day lineup. They really didn't. I think PlayStation had, like, Demon's Souls or something like that, and Xbox had nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. So having a good launch lineup for your console, it is a pretty important thing, and we can start Xing out some of the games that'll be there. So yeah, that is my little take on that. The Nintendo Switch is coming out for the next 2 years, but these could be its last year or two. We will see how that goes. I will say too, if the Nintendo Switch is truly done, it was a fantastic ride. Honestly, the Nintendo Switch truly changed gaming history forever, and it will end up just like the GameCube in the Hall of Fame, along with the Wii and the DS. Now, of course, the NES and stuff like that too. Now, for the next piece of news, Gears of War has been, greenlit with Netflix to get a movie and to get a animated adaptation, all on Netflix. So there has been a lot of speculation as who's going to play Marcus Phoenix. Now, Gears of War is still a popular franchise. It might not be what it once was, and that's because the games haven't gone particularly well. Gears 4 wasn't too well received. Gears 5 was better received, but not necessarily as popular as you'd hope. So now they're going to make their Gears 6 game. Epic Games is finally coming back to the franchise to help make this Gears of War 6, so that's going to be cool. Developed all on Unreal Engine 5, but for the movie specifically, people are speculating, you see right here, Dave Bautista to become Marcus Phoenix once again, because if you don't know, he was Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War 5 as a customizable skin unlock. And yeah, so people are petitioning to get him to play Marcus Phoenix. Now, Batista also made a tweet, I can't make this any easier. Gears of War, Netflix, Marcus Phoenix, Gears of War, right? He's been a part of the franchise. Everybody wants him to be Marcus Phoenix, except for this guy who for some reason wants John Travolta, which I couldn't imagine. But yeah, the Gears of War movie, hopefully Dave Bautista does get this role, right? So he has been just chomping at the bit for being Marcus Phoenix. I mean, I actually should pull up an article here too. He turned down Fast and the Furious for this role, right? Like, he actually had a role that would have landed him in the Fast and Furious franchise, which, whatever you think of that franchise at this point, it still makes a lot of money. It's a big-time role, right? And for an actor, even as, high as Dave Bautista's caliber, right? And he's been in a lot of big movies at this point. For him to turn that down is pretty insane. Presumably, the role that John Cena played would have been the role Batista played, Dominic, his brother, and, it would have been this wild goose chase like it always ends up being, people going to space, yada, yada, yada. But anyway, he turned down all of it because he wanted to make Gears of War. So right here, you can see the quote. He had a chance to talk with Warner Brothers. They wanted him to do a role, right? He says, they were talking to me about this and that, and I said, hey, let's talk about Bane. He also has been wanting to play Bane. He would make a great Bane, too. And I guess they didn't entertain it. Maybe they will now with James Gunn. And then, yeah, so Universal talked to him. They wanted him to do Fast and Furious. He said, I'm not interested. Let's talk about Gears of War character Marcus Phoenix. So, yeah, like, he has been, and this has been years he's been doing this, and Gears of War has had years of trying to break out on the main screen and get this done. Now, it was never really possible because of the fact that, video games have never really done movies before. But then Sonic, that movie came out, both of them, and they were super successful. And then on top of that, you have a Mario movie, The Last of Us on HBO, Arcane on Netflix. I mean, video game movies are right now a dime a dozen. And so now Gears of War is joining the fray. Thank God that they picked Netflix too, because Halo picked Paramount. And like I said, I defend the Halo Paramount series. I still think it's better. There's more good than bad. But boy, there was a lot of bad. and so anyway, yeah, like, this is a huge news right now, and I don't know what the casting is going to be. I don't know what it's going to be like. This is the official announcement right here. Gears of War released 16 years ago on November 7th. Netflix has partnered with the Coalition to adapt Gears of War video game saga into a live-action feature film, followed by an adult animated series with the potential for more stories to follow. So this could end up being a huge thing for them. Now, hopefully, Dave Bautista gets this role, but honestly, I just want to talk about video games making the rounds in the Hollywood movies in general. You see this trend right now of bringing these adaptations to HBO, to Netflix, to all of these different services. I mean, there's literally a Mario Bros. Movie coming out, and it's with Chris Pratt. By the way, not a huge fan of Chris Pratt's voice for Mario, but Yeah, like there's a Mario movie coming out. There's The Last of Us HBO, the premieres coming out. There's so many video games breaking out um, in the Hollywood scene. It's insane. And the one thing I want to say is this. The reason I bring this up, it's like I said, I'm trying to do like a news video and just cover everything that's happening once every so often when there is big news. But the one thing I want to specifically bring up is this. Please, 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 just follow the story that's given to you. Don't try to get creative, right? The Last of Us does not need you to pump the story up, right? To put bells and whistles on it. The Last of Us is one of the most legendary stories of all time. There's no debating it, right? There's no doubting it. The Last of Us is one of the most legendary stories ever. Gears of War is the original third-person shooter. It is also it's even more legendary than The Last of Us. The only reason third-person shooters exist today is because of Gears of War. This was the first third-person shooter game that got it right. It was a masterpiece. The first 1, 2, and 3 were masterpieces, right? The story is amazing. So you don't have to put the bells and whistles on these movies. You don't. And that's, I feel like, what happened with Halo in a lot of ways, right? Where they felt like, hey, we gotta make this feel more like, acceptable to audiences. But you don't have to do that, right? The movies itself, they are good. They are good. Gears of War is good. The Last of Us is good. Just follow the script, right? They say they're working with the Coalition to help adapt Gears of War. I really hope they are. Because, now, don't get me wrong, Netflix is a really good studio. They make really good stuff, so I trust them more than anyone. But it's really hard, to, like, trust a lot of these Hollywood studios, because look at what happened with Halo, specifically towards the hardcore fans. Like, people hated it, right? The Rotten Tomatoes was really bad. Now, again, I liked it more than I didn't like it, right? The action was really good. I like that the lore in some cases, right? I think the Mjolnir armor is pretty cool. They changed the story up a bit, not entirely. It's whatever. I liked it more than I didn't like it. But the point is, I shouldn't have to like it more than I don't like it. I should just love it, right? The Halo story should just be the Halo story. There's no need to change the Halo story. This quite literally might be if aliens came to the planet and said, give us your best video game of all time, and if you don't and we don't like it, we're going to blow this planet up. People might give them Halo 2. Like, people said, here, take Halo 2, and if that doesn't get you, then that's fine. We could have done no better. Like, that's literally how it would go if aliens came to the planet. I feel like people would just give them Halo 2 and say, listen, if you don't have fun on that game, then I guess it was our time. Because Halo 2, Halo 1, Halo 3, Reach, they're all just, oh my goodness, what a saga, right? But yeah, that's my little rant about that. Please, just follow the script, man. Don't try to put bells and whistles on something that really doesn't need it. Other than that, not a lot of huge gaming news coming out. New Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet, I believe, comes out very soon. And they already leaked online, so careful with spoilers. They literally are out everywhere, by the way. People were live streaming this game on Twitch, and it's not even out yet. Nintendo has been fast and furious to take everything down because obviously these are two massive games that they want to make sure release on time. So yeah, can't blame them. But just avoid spoilers if you are going to pick these games up, one or either. I believe the one that leaked the most was Scarlet. That's the one whose data files got leaked. So, I don't know about Violet, but yeah, Scarlet leaked for sure. Anyways, other than that, bunch of holiday games coming out. Obviously, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's a new Need for Speed game. Callisto Protocol comes out in December. We already had the launch of the new Apex season. Warzone comes out very soon with the DMZ mode, which honestly, they both don't look very good. But still, for those who enjoy that type of thing, have at it. And there's a bunch of other games coming out. The Game Awards, too. The last thing I want to talk about, and I know this is kind of a longer video, so hopefully this isn't an issue for anybody, but the last thing I want to talk about is the Game Awards, and I'm going to make this short and sweet. The Game Awards is going to be must-watch this year. Usually Jeff Keighley does his best to pump the show up, but this year he doesn't really need to. The Game Awards, it's going to pump itself up, right? We have the juggernauts, right? Clash of the Titans, God of War Ragnarok, which just released, by the way. Go check that game out. It's pretty good. Or Elden Ring. Now, recency bias is going to favor God of War Ragnarok. Obviously, I personally, if gun to my head, I would take Elden Ring over God of War Ragnarok as Game of the Year, but that is the appeal of Game of the Year, right? There's going to be some cool stuff, some announcements, right? Some surprises as usual, and on top of that, there's going to be some awards handed out to some of the best games of the year of 2022. Celebrities are going to be there. Last year they had Jim Carrey, and the first trailer for the Sonic movie. They had the full trailer for the Halo series. So yeah, like the Game Awards is a very big deal. It happens every December. You should definitely check it out. Jeff Keighley has really, really strived to make the Game Awards feel like the gaming world of like the Oscars, right? Like if you win the Game Awards, and it's just a promotion that he's put together. It's become really successful, but over the years, it's gotten better. It's gotten better. It's gotten better. Manage expectations when it comes to reveals and surprises, right? Like some years are better than the others. Obviously, last year we had a bunch of cool stuff, trailers and stuff like that for some cool shows and movies, but manage expectations for that. However, I believe you can vote too for the fan award, like Game of the Year, according to the fans. And then obviously there's going to be Game of the Year. I'm not even sure how they do the Game of the Year, but we'll see. I guess they have a jury that does it. I'm not sure, but anyway, and then you can see the player's voice here. This is the website too, GameAwards.com. You can check out all the cool stuff. It's held in the Microsoft Theater in LA. You can also get tickets now. They're on sale if you want to go and check that out. If you live in LA, that'd be pretty cool too. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. That's the Daily News Roundup, honestly. We have new Nintendo Switch news. There's a bunch of backwards compatibility. They're releasing new games on Nintendo Switch Online. Gears of War is finally getting its love on the mainstream Hollywood platform with Netflix. Hopefully Dave Bautista gets a role of Marcus Phoenix. We have new games releasing this year. Pokemon Scarlet is still yet to come out. Callisto Protocol, Need for Speed Unbound, and some other games that are coming out in the holiday season. And hopefully you enjoy your holiday season. I'm still working on last little update too. I'm still working on my Sonic Frontiers playthrough. It's literally right here on my desktop. I am almost done with the story, and then I'm going to do a full story dive into that. And yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm almost done. Having a little bit of trouble finishing it because honestly, it's not that easy. I don't know how people completed it in 10 hours. I'm on like hour 60. So yeah, like it is not easy at all. Let's see. I'm at I am at 59.8 hours. I'm literally at 60 hours. So like. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, thank you for checking out this video. I've rambled on far too long. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back with some more content very, very soon.